All right, welcome to another installment of our Midweek Check-In, Trinity family. Hope your new year is off to a good start. My ideas for what to talk to you all about on here each week come from all kinds of places. I try to reflect on life for the past week and consider what things stood out for me that have any kind of meaningfulness to them. And this week, I think I'm going to talk to you all about football. Because, here in Pittsburgh, we're not capable of doing anything without relating it in some way to football. I'm sure many of you were in the same boat as Julie and I were on Sunday evening. The Steelers needed several things to go right in order for them to make the playoffs. They had to take care of business and beat the Ravens. Check. Then they needed the underdog Jaguars to pull off an upset and beat the Colts. Check. The last thing they needed was for the Chargers and the Raiders game on Sunday evening to end in anything but a tie. As long as they didn't tie, the Steelers made the playoffs, right? And of course, the chances that any football game are going to end in a tie are so statistically unlikely that as the earlier afternoon games ended, the celebrations were already beginning here in Pittsburgh because we knew it was in the bag, right? Sure we did. What were the chances that the Chargers and Raiders could possibly tie? Julie and I put the Sunday night game on, and we watched it for a little while. And at one point, the Raiders were up by so much that we turned it off, thinking to ourselves, they've got this, it's over. But I kept periodically checking the score on my phone, and things began to tighten up a little too much for comfort. And when it was a one-score game, I said, uh-oh, and I put it back on. You all know the rest of the story, of course. The game went into overtime and remained tied until the absolute last possible minute, keeping sports fans across the country glued to their seats and keeping Steelers fans in a state of cardiac purgatory until the very, very end. The announcers even joked numerous times about what this must be doing to the folks back in Pittsburgh. All the while, my phone and Julie's phone were blowing up with text threads from family and friends, all gabbing about the game, laughing at the absurdity of the situation, sharing fears about how it would end, and so forth. And it occurred to me during those conversations just what sports are really supposed to be all about, or at least what I think sports are supposed to be all about anyway. Sports are a common interest that builds community. They are a tie that binds. Sports bring us together in a found family. I think back to just how much my own Steelers fandom has meant to me over the years. In my first career work at the company where I worked from 2005 to 2012, I remember just how powerful sports were as a unifying force for us. That company had a very turbulent history, and sure enough, they don't exist anymore. And morale was a roller coaster there in that office. We didn't always get along. The employees and the management feuded with each other a lot. But on Fridays during football season, the whole building turned into one large tailgate, and all was well with the world. Our Steelers fandom united us all in a way that nothing else did. We all showed up for work on Fridays wearing a jersey and bringing food every single week. It was really cool to see the way that it brought people together. That's sports at their best, unifying people. And in that way, there's a parallel to the stories of our faith, which in a perfect world should work the same way. We root for our favorite teams out of pride, out of the way that they represent our hometown, our history, our upbringing, our past. And those symbols unite us as part of a family that is bigger than ourselves. Does that sound familiar? It's the same thing that ideally we're supposed to be doing here as well. These stories should be doing the same thing. Throughout time and space, they unite us together as followers of Jesus. A common narrative and common symbols bring us all together and form community when there was none. Shared values get people talking who otherwise wouldn't have spoken to each other. The words of our liturgy, our hymns, our scriptures, they bind us together with the communion of saints, stretching back thousands of years of history in the family of God's people. And ultimately, that is the team to which our final allegiance should really belong. We're all on Team Jesus, right? And unlike the sports teams of the world, which are fleeting and may have a losing season next year, Team Jesus has already won the most important battle against sin and death, and the big celebration has only begun. So I leave you this week to ponder, how cool is the heavenly tailgate going to be? Someday, we're all going to find out. Have a good week, folks.